Hello, once again, it is Kevin coming to you with Weeds Weekly Wrap. And as always, we discussed what happened this past week. We're going to talk about this upcoming week. You're going to get some random thoughts from yours truly on why we're not going to be in a market that's going to crash like we saw in 2008. And then we're going to talk about getting back to basics and why I think that is really important in today's environment in the retail space. So let's just dive right in. I mean, make no mistake about it. Last week was disastrous for interest rates. We saw the highest rate increase since 2022. We have stepped back in time. We're now living in November of 2023 with where the 10-year treasury is and where we were at that time for as far as interest rates. And we're moving away from what a lot of economists and traders and people in the media are now calling it, which is sticky inflation. And I thought it was a great term, but I heard it back in January. And I'm going to move away from sticky. I'm going to start talking about persistent inflation. It's obvious that inflation is here. It seems to be here to stay. And it's obvious. It's due to several reasons. I think the Fed was very slow to reacting to the economic environment that was out there. I don't think they went far enough to kind of curb the inflationary concerns that we have. But let's also obviously state the government is just totally counterproductive in what the Fed is trying to achieve. They continue to just spend trillions of dollars. You have all this money floating around, and it's going to be really difficult to reel in inflation. I mean, if you look at what Jamie Dimon said, who's the CEO of JPMorgan, I mean, he's looking at potential interest rates in the 8%. He's indicating that we have some tough times with recession coming. So we just want to be clear on what we're looking at so we can best educate our clients. And last week, we saw really clearly that concerns are growing. You know, at the beginning of 2024, we had a very optimistic view. And probably about a month ago, we had that same view. Momentum was in the camp of rates are going to get lower, market conditions are going to improve. And now we see the concerns are starting to grow. We're seeing traders, we're seeing economists have a lot of angst and a lot of jittery feelings with regards to what is exactly going to happen. Is the Fed still on pace for these 3 cuts? Do we anticipate now possibly 2 cuts? Do we see nothing in 2024? Are we going to see an increase? You're starting to see a lot of talk and a lot of concerns with what direction this is all going to go. And I think that's extremely valid. The other thing is, you know, I think now everyone's in the camp that we're definitely moved away from 3 rate cuts and we're possibly looking at 2. I think the Fed this week, you know, coming up, and now we jump into this week, I think markets are going to be walking on eggshells. They don't really know the direction that things are going to be headed. Data continues to indicate that inflation is a concern, the job market is good, wages, although slightly, are going up. The cost of goods and services continues to increase month after month after those huge increases in 2023. And therefore, they're walking on eggshells. Traders and investors have been burnt so many times. So I think you're going to see a lot of them. They're going to be waiting for those data points that come out the first 2 weeks in May. So we now have the remainder of April to kind of just look at everything that's going to come out, beginning with this week. We have retail sales. We're going to see what the consumer behavior has been. And I wouldn't anticipate that it's actually going to be curbed. Once again, we see the government handing out money. We see the government excusing student loans. Programs like that are just pumping more money into the economy. We got more dollars chasing fewer goods, and the consumer seems to be extremely resilient with all the headwind. Given that, I anticipate that rates could potentially go even higher. I think we're talking ceilings now of 4.7. I know last week I wrote 4.5. We ended the week over 4.5. I think we now could be in the 4.7, 4.8 range. If you recall, back in October of 2023, we were up to almost just below 5% when we saw interest rates go up at 8%. Fingers crossed we don't get there, but I think there's a great potential for us to get there. And it's obviously all the factors. The other thing that I think we have to look at this week is the Fed is going to be talking. You have Fed Chairman Powell, he's going to be speaking, and a lot of the Fed members are going to be talking. And I think what they're going to really do is they're going to try to calm the markets. They're going to try to say that, hey, the data that came out, the CPI number last week, while obviously it showed that inflation is still being sticky, they're going to continue to use that word, but we're going to use persistent. While sticky, it's moving in the direction we want. And what they're doing, and I talked about this a month ago, they're kicking the can. They're pushing it down the line with fingers crossed behind their back, and they are praying, so to speak, that come May, the numbers for April show that it is moving in the direction. Because the concern is now we've had 3 months in consecutive that inflation is over forecast. That's all of Q1 for 2024. When we thought the market was going to be in a better position, it's done the exact opposite of what the Fed thought and what the Fed had said. So I don't think they're going to do much to change the market this week. I don't think they're going to spell doom. They're going to try to calm everybody, and they're going to basically indicate that, hey, all decisions are data driven, because they don't have another Fed meeting until the end of May, beginning of June. So they have some time here to adjust to the data and look at it. This is going to be 2 big months, right? We just had it the first 2 weeks of April. We're going to get it the first 2 weeks of May. Then they need to make a policy decision. So they're just kicking the can right now. The other thing that I want to basically go over is just some thoughts. There's a lot of people out there now speculating that we could potentially see a market crash. There's a lot of people that I see on YouTube, people that I follow. I love to digest data. That's what I like to do. Former economics degree. I love this stuff. But the numbers to me don't lie. If you look at where people wound up with where their interest rates are, where their home payments are, given the pandemic, it's clear to me that we're not going to see a market crash. And that's simply going to be, there's not going to be a rush of inventory to the market. Right here, 88.5% of borrowers today have mortgages below 6%. So if we're now looking at the rate sheet that I'm going to show, par right now is 6.875. Par is where people in my industry, LOs, brokers, make no money. So you're already at least 1% higher than where 85% of the people are. Out of that 85%, 59% are below 4%. And out of that, 23% are below 3%. Those people are going nowhere unless they absolutely have to. And frankly, if you have those interest rates, my best advice to you and the advice you should be giving to your clients is try to hang on to that house at all costs. You're never going to see those interest rates more than likely in our lifetime. If for whatever reason you needed to fall back, move into that house with that low interest payment, what a beautiful thing, right? Find a renter. You should be able to do it from a numbers standpoint. And what a beautiful thing to hang on to that house. But it means, again, lack of inventory. And lack of inventory is what's going to prevent us from seeing an absolute crash in the real estate market like some people are predicting. I just don't see it. Now, different parts of the country are going to experience different things. Places that had huge run-ups obviously need to have a correction, and they're going through that. But we're not going to see anything just plummet all the way down. So it's going to stabilize. It's still going to be a healthy market. It's just going to be a challenging one. And then my final thing, and my thought was, look, what a great time to get back to basics. In times of uncertainty like we're in right now, in times where people feel like they're in quicksand, there's nothing better than a personal touch. There's nothing better than sitting face to face with a client, picking up a phone and having a conversation with a client. Your client is dying for that. They're tired of seeing what's in the media. They hear all the rhetoric, right? They see everything on social. Oh, everything's great. I'm out showing houses. Look at all this. I just closed one, so on and so forth. And I get all that, but there's still a lot of angst. And that personal touch to me is where your foundation should be being built right now in 2024. So come 2025, you're ready. So some of the basics that I laid out, right? Some suggestions that I think could set you apart with your clients and where you should be spending your time right now is number one, pick up a phone call and call everyone you can. Your past, your present, your new, and potential clients. Schedule a time with them. Tell them it's a 10 to 15 minute call. You want to provide them an update. Listen to anything that they have to say. Give them the warm and fuzzies that you personally care, regardless if they're in the market or not. You want to touch base. You know it's turbulent times. Number 2, set up a coffee, lunch, or drinks. Again, a face-to-face meeting. That's exactly what you're looking for. That meeting is going to pay dividends in years to come. Third one I had was suggest meetings for a workout, a run, a walk, anything like that. You got to remember that your clients do more than just real estate. They're active people, maybe a play date with kids, anything like that that is actually going to be able to get in person, talk to them, whether it's about real estate or anything like that. Obviously, they're going to ask you what's going on in the marketplace, and it's going to be your way to put your personal touch and your comfort level that you're a professional, you're the expert, you're there to guide them. While you're uncertain as well, you're the person that they should call with anything that any needs they have, because you're the one that's buried in the marketplace and know it better than anyone else. The other one I had is when you're presenting or discussing anything, ask for it to be in person with the client. There's all these Zoom meetings and everyone's jumping, let me present online. I think that's garbage. I hate Zoom meetings. Actually, when people schedule a Zoom meeting with me, I tell them to just call. I don't need to sit and stare at their face and have this online kind of thing. It doesn't do it for me. I'd rather they give me a call, I can talk to them. I don't need to see their face. It does nothing personal when it's on a screen. Anything for a client right now that I can touch, I want it to be face-to-face, and I'm asking for that meeting. And then the other one is go door knocking, right? Create conversations. Whether you have a listing coming up in the area, whether you just love that zip code, door knocking and just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm at your service. It's crazy times right now, whether you're in the market or not. I wanted to have a quick conversation with you and answer any questions you may have. I just love the market. It's another way to just build that database, show people face-to-face that you're the professional. So those are my thoughts for the week. Again, we're in some turbulent times. Make no mistake about it. We're looking at rates right now, even with a great FICO score. If you have a $500,000 loan, you're in the 7% range. You're in the low 7% range. That's exactly what it is. And if you have some credit issues, you're looking at over 7.5% to 8% right now. So let's get fingers crossed. Let's hope that we get some data points this week. Let's hope the Fed does exactly what I thought, calm the market a little bit. But I don't anticipate big swings here for the next couple weeks. All eyes are on May. All eyes now are on May. We've digested the big bullet points, and we're going to be hawkishly looking for the first 2 weeks in May, jobs, inflation data, and I think that's going to really paint the picture whether the Fed has 2 or maybe no Fed fund rate decreases, and potentially if inflation starts running rampant, we could see a Fed funds rate increase. So again, you just want to be prepared. You want to be knowledgeable on what's going on and what the potential is out there. All right, everybody, have a great week. You need anything, give me a call. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, but wanted to bring that information to you. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.